Ooh, this is new. This is fun. Let's do this for right now.
Yeah.
Welcome everyone to CASAA Live. At this point, I just hope we're live. I don't even ask if everything's going okay anymore. I'm just over here hoping and praying, I guess. But welcome everyone to CASAA Live. We have some guests today that we'll be bringing in a little bit later after we get through our legislative rundown. But before we get to any of those things, Kristen, hey, how are you?
Good, really good. Been busy. I'm covered in glitter. It seems like I can't get rid of it after working on Christmas decorations all week. It's like everything's got
Glitter
glitter
is just like a life amplifier. Like everything's just better with glitter.
That is true. That is true. Yeah, so I've been busy doing that. Check out my Facebook page. I posted pictures of the house. I think it looks cool. So I've been very crafty this year. We just got buried under about 7 inches of snow, which is always fun, but that's kind of par for the course. Is winter up in the North Woods, up north. We're up north. But yeah, just getting ready for the holidays, and yeah, just.
How ready do you feel for the holidays?
Pretty good. We got all the outdoor decorations up, some on the inside. We have not picked up our tree yet. We decided we're gonna do a live tree this year, so we're gonna do that tomorrow. Pick up the tree. And I got all the Christmas shopping done a couple weeks ago, believe it or not. Just with all the stuff about the shipping issues, I decided I was gonna get them done as early as possible. So those are all on hand. I just have to get them wrapped, which is the thing I hate. I hate wrapping presents.
Yeah.
And I'm
awful at it. Like I am the go buy the bag and tissue paper guy. Like that's me. I will spend so much money on gift bags and tissue paper. It's so much cheaper and affordable just to wrap presents with wrapping paper, but no.
I like boxes that are pre-printed. Those are nice, but I never buy them. And I throw like the cheap bag ribbons on top of. I mean, I'm a mom.
Oh, sure.
I mean, why? They're going to be all ripped apart anyhow. I watch all these shows on YouTube and they're showing how to put like these beautiful cloth ribbons and all this beautiful expensive wrapping paper, and these they'll tuck a little sprig of greenery in there, and I'm like, screw you. Slap on a sticky plastics because you're just going to tear it apart anyhow.
Yeah. It was a long running tradition at my grandparents' house who have both passed at this point. But for years when I was a kid, Christmas Eve is when we used to do Christmas at my grandparents' house. And we had a long running tradition of after everybody opened their presents, we would all have a wrapping paper ball fight in the living room. So like wrapping paper balls just across the living room, out into the kitchen. Like we would dive behind the sofas and the chairs, and like it was intense, you guys. It was intense.
That sounds so horrible.
Yeah, so you definitely don't waste money on those presents because everybody in that family knew. Like most people would just wrap with like the Sunday comics, and that was it. Because they knew what was coming. They knew where it was going.
I remember doing it as a kid using the Sunday comics.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So Alex, hey, how are you?
Doing good. I'm in a similar weather pattern as you. Windy and cold. We got some rain, but yeah, it's weird up here.
It's pretty warm right now down here. It's like almost 60.
Yeah, it's supposed to perk up here. I think we're in the 40s right now.
Wow.
But with regard to Christmas festivities, I suck at getting prepared for Christmas. I just don't. My wife will be taking care of the minimal decorations that we have. But for you would appreciate putting some extra effort into wrapping presents for me, because I meticulously take the wrapping paper off and leave it in one solid piece. I don't know where I picked this up, but I've been doing it since I was a small child. And
do you reuse it?
No, I don't.
So all this effort.
I don't know where I picked this up, but since I was a small child, this is how I unwrap presents. I don't rip the paper off. I would I go for the tape and I get the tape off and I unfold the corners and you get a big sheet of the wrapping. You get the wrapping paper back.
But there's no end benefit to all of this extra effort.
Yeah, no, I don't care.
Satisfaction.
Oh, okay.
For me, it was since I was a small child, there is this acknowledgement that someone has put the effort into wrapping this up nicely, and I'm not just going to obliterate it. I will carefully take it apart. And so Christmas mornings when I was a kid at our house always used to take a lot of extra time because I'm being very careful about unwrapping things. And I think at one point when I was a kid, my dad was just like, okay, this is ridiculous. Like, just take it off. Just
Yeah, that would be me.
That would be me. To save it. We're not going to use it again. And I'm like, yeah, but no. So
look at this. Alex, compassionate, a man for the people since he was a young child, just always thoughtful.
Yeah, my mom thought I was either going to be a lawyer, no, a politician, or a used car salesman.
You're close.
I'm somewhere.
You're somewhere in between both of those things. But yeah, I mean, weather here today has just been super windy, rainy. Not a whole lot going on here otherwise. This has been like my first full week, you know, kind of in winter work mode as opposed to regular season stuff. So I've had a lot of time off, which is just amazing. Can I just take a moment and say how amazing it is? It's amazing. Okay. I think that's it though, for us with the hey, how are yous and the such as. So if everybody is ready, Alex, are you ready?
I'm ready.
Viewers at home, are you ready? I'm not actually going to get an answer from you, but I think we're ready. Let's do some legislation. All right, Captain, what do you got for us this week? What do we need to know? Keep our ears and eyes on.
So this is a relatively easy one, which is good. You know, we're coming up at the end of the year, and I think it's appropriate that we maybe get a slight breather. That's not the case. There's still tons of stuff out there, I'm sure, that we're not picking up. But most people have probably heard the news about our federal excise tax on nicotine here in the United States, and that it is being removed from the Build Back Better funding bill. And so this all came about. You know, we've had, of course, Senator Joe Manchin and Senator Kyrsten Sinema have been open about their opposition to this tax. And we picked up a few more supporters here. Notably, Catherine Cortez Masto, senator from Nevada, came out and was, let's see, I'm gonna get to our engagement here, and was featured in a Wall Street Journal article about the tax and her opposition to it. I've of course added this to our engagement. So if you want to read it, if you have a subscription to the Wall Street Journal, here is the article. I'm sure there are other news outlets that are covering this. But Cortez Masto is number 3 here, who sort of publicly said she's opposed to this, specifically to this tax, because I do have a subscription to Wall Street Journal, so you're getting this free content very quickly. Hopefully they don't cancel me. If they do, I can not pay my subscription dues anymore. Anyway.
Don't worry, Alex. Yeah. The community won't cancel you.
Thanks, guys.
Just Wall Street Journal.
Just the Wall Street Journal, which would be weird because they're the Wall Street Journal. They're a little right-leaning, right? We still have our engagement up. Obviously, there are still plenty of senators who don't get this issue. And it's always appropriate for people to continue reaching out to their officials and educating them about this. And so certainly not as much pressure is needed to, convince senators to oppose this and get this taken out. But again, we're not going to call this until all the votes are counted. And obviously we saw what happened in the House. We thought everything was being taken out, and then they put this back in. So, it is good news. Certainly that we have a third senator who's opposed to this, and it sounds like it's being taken out. So we'll just end the week on that good news and see what next week brings. We are expecting a vote on this either at the very end of December, which would be the 23rd, or this will go into January. So we're still keeping an eye on this. You can still contact your lawmakers, educate them about this, and take the opportunity to share your story about switching. And that is the positive good news from our federal legislation. Moving right along, Denver, more good news. Mayor Hancock has vetoed the flavor ban bill. As we noted in our recent update on our engagement, on our call to action, that the veto passed with 8 votes. I'm sorry, the ordinance passed City Council with 8 votes, which I would call a weak majority. The council now needs 9 votes to override the mayor's veto. So this is still entirely possible that his veto is overridden. So if you are a Denver resident, Denver shop owner, whoever you are living in Denver, still a good idea to contact members of the city council, your city council members, and urge them to reject or vote no on the veto override. There has been a tremendous amount of pressure placed on Mayor Hancock and members of the city council to get this done. But folks, people living in Denver certainly made the point that this negatively affects the businesses. It negatively affects, of course, people's ability to access these products and quit smoking. So
all this would take really is some really good backdoor conversations to get one more person on board, and potentially that could be it for overriding this veto.
Yeah, I'm sure that it's happening. I'm sure that any holdouts or anybody who was maybe a little iffy on voting no on the ordinance is, I'm sure, certainly getting some extra pressure over the weekend. It is Saturday, tomorrow is Sunday. People are supposed to be off and whatnot. But if you live in Denver, keep sending messages, keep making phone calls all the way up until the meeting on Monday night. So this is coming back for a veto override vote on Monday, and we want that to fail. So any contacts people in Denver can make will be very helpful. So specifically, Councilmember Paul Cashman and Jolan Clark, those two I think could probably use a little bit of support in opposing any veto override and opposing the flavor ban. So that is kind of the active legislation here in the United States. Very quickly, I wanted to note that certainly we saw the news out of New Zealand and the policies that are being implemented there. This was launched on Thursday, the 9th. And essentially what this is kind of, it's a bit like what FDA proposed back in 2017, which was this strategy of making cigarettes very unattractive, very inaccessible, and lowering nicotine content, while at the same time allowing for vapor products to be sold. The discussion here is, if you're going to take away cigarettes, you have to give people a place to land. And FDA sort of highlighted that in the conversation about banning menthol cigarettes. Just to kind of get to some of the key policy points here, this new policy in New Zealand involves reducing the nicotine content in cigarettes. And an interesting thing here is banning filtered cigarettes, which I think is interesting. And I think there are some other restrictions on product design measures, which are intended. Product design makes the product more appealing or accessible, however you want to look at that. And of course, reducing the addictiveness of cigarettes. At the same time, I don't know how far the New Zealand Health Department will go to promote vaping. I think we've seen some things out of New Zealand where they are actually promoting vaping. So that's the general vibe of this whole thing. In addition to these restrictions on cigarettes, they'll be restricting tobacco retailers. To me, this sounds a lot like what we've seen here in New York City, for example. Other places where density requirements are being implemented. For example, no more than like 15 licenses will be issued, or they'll gradually, you live in a town where there's 50 tobacco dealer licenses, and as those expire, no new licenses will be created. Or straight up like New York City did, we're just going to slash the number of licenses available, and that's that. So that will be another component of this. And I don't know. Oh, here we go. This is the webpage for people who are interested. We're going to come back and talk about this next week. I just kind of wanted to quickly give an overview of what's going on, and show folks that you can check this out if you want. I am not going to mispronounce this name, but oh man, I'm bad at this. There's too many vowels in this. Anyway, New Zealand.
Aotearoa? That's my one shot at it.
I think you did an excellent job.
Aotearoa.
if anybody wants to spell that out phonetically in chat, we'll try our best there too. I can't read those either. Anyway, so all of that to say, this is a thing. There are, I think, varying takes on this. Certainly, there's the debate between, is this prohibition, is this not? And we'll come back next week and I think give our individual takes on this and do a deep dive on it, so we can give this some more attention. And of course, with an eye to whether or not something like this is appropriate here in the U.S. And so come
back next week.
Yeah, come back next week. We'll be here.
Yeah, I definitely want to talk about this kind of policy, not only in New Zealand, but just kind of broadly, like what we think about this policy, and like you said, whether it would be something that's possible here, what that would look like here.
Yeah, we'll get in a deep dive into that next week. There just wasn't time this week, so.
Yeah, and so that's that. That's the legislative rundown.
That's the legislative rundown. Fantastic. All right. Well, so we don't actually have like a special guest bumper. We don't.
No, I was thinking that they're part of our deep dive into
we don't have a special. We need to get Danielle. So we're just gonna do this. And so, with us today on our special guest deep dive, we are joined by Richard Pruen and Skip Murray from the Safer Nicotine Wiki, and that is exactly what we're going to be discussing today. Richard, how are you?
Yeah, I'm good, thanks. Just got over a touch of the flu, so glad to be recovering.
Yeah, very good. Very good. Excellent. I'm glad that you are here with us and better spirits and better health than down with the flu, because that is never fun. Skip, how are you?
I'm good. Glad to be here.
Awesome. We can hear you perfectly. So Skip just has a photo up today because sometimes Skip's computer gets a little wonky on her. And she gave us a warning that at some point she may just vanish. Which I also, fair warning to everybody, I may also vanish because we have high winds and rain and stuff happening. So like I may just like be gone,
I will also vanish very soon here and come back because I need to feed the dog, and
you gotta feed the pooch.
Yeah.
You gotta feed the pooch. So I guess right off the bat, let's talk about the Safer Nicotine Wiki. Yeah. What is the Safer Nicotine Wiki? What is this wonderland of a website that we all have heard so much about?
Shall I start at the beginning?
Yeah.
I was trying to think of something I could do for the vaping community, and I kind of thought long and hard about it, and this took, probably over the course of a year or so. the idea to have some kind of central repository for information, and the idea was to collect all the information that people had in their own little spreadsheets and in their own Google Docs, and to put it all in one place so that all advocates could make use of all of the information that we all had stashed away ourselves, studies and the likes. And it pretty much, one day I was just browsing Wikipedia thinking how appalling the Wikipedia vaping coverage is, and thinking, hang on, this is open source software, so I can run a Wikipedia but about vaping. So I kind of set out to do that, basically. Just started one day. Obviously, I'm kind of reasonable at being a Linux admin, so there was a bit of a learning curve and then some to run, because we run the same software that Wikipedia runs exactly. So there's all sorts of add-ons and bits and pieces and bells and whistles to get to grips with. But yeah, that's where the original idea came from, was just to provide a resource for vapors all over the world, and for it to be easy to link to. So each of our pages is pretty much a shortish URL that you can post in social media and things.
So easily shareable.
We've got a social media share button on the site on every page. So if you read something, you think, oh, I'm just going to share this to Twitter, you just hit share and then select Twitter, and it does the rest for you.
Awesome.
Alex, do you have it up?
I do.
There we go.
Here we go. So Skip, how did you come to be involved in the this whole Safer Nicotine Wiki?
I can't say no. It actually started for me on my personal journey. I'm naturally curious. So I was already collecting a lot of information on vaping and on nicotine in general. And we gave birth to the idea of the poor man's PMTA for all the small businesses that were never going to be able to afford all the studies to submit a PMTA. So we started gathering data, and Shar Owen had a friend of hers write up a literature review that several companies used in their PMTAs. And last year on November 23rd, Alan Beard posted about studies, and he tweeted, and a bunch of people responded with their spreadsheets and their documents and all their different collections. And Alan started a chat on Twitter, and 2 days later, Richard had Safer Nicotine Wiki up and running. That's how fast and how hard he worked to get it going.
Wow.
So
I
I'm one of the
can say
people that
firsthand.
entered
I'm
data.
sorry, Skip. Go ahead.
Go ahead. You're looking at our statements from various health and governmental organizations around the world that have made a positive statement about tobacco harm reduction.
Yeah, I
And
can
you
say
can click
firsthand.
on. Sorry. I was just going to say, you can click on any image and download it to your computer if you'd like that image to share somewhere.
I've known Richard for a while now. Richard and I are pretty good friends, and I can remember when Richard started this, and I can see just from back then to now how far this site has come along.
And we have a lot of work left to do yet.
Oh, sure, it never ends, right?
Absolutely.
New studies come out almost every day.
There's a never-ending amount of work to do just to keep the site running as well, from keeping the operating system up to date on the server so it doesn't get hacked, to just inputting templates and things that the pages need to make them look like half reasonable. So I mean, I usually do the maintenance on a Sunday because technically that's her quietest day. So I guess everybody's having their Sunday roast dinner or whatever they do around the world. So I've taken to doing maintenance on a Sunday, which works out fine for me. It needs doing sometime, but I might as well do it when it's going to interfere with the least amount of people browsing the site. And I also try and add the content to the site as much as I possibly can too. Sorry,
How do you keep it updated? I mean, I'm in the Safer Wiki Twitter group, and I see there's a lot of people in there. Are a lot of those people actively finding links and sharing them in there, or do you have a group somewhere else that you are compiling all this stuff? And if somebody comes across something, I mean, I tweet a lot about all the different studies that come out and comment on them. So I come up with them. So how do you decide which? First of all, where do you get the studies from? Like, what's the source? How do you accumulate them? And secondly, how do you decide which ones you want to use on the wiki or not use?
We
Whichever
find
one
all
you
the
prefer.
studies online.
I'm sorry,
We
say
find
that
all
again,
the
Sam?
studies online. I
Right,
said we find all the studies online.
right.
Anybody can sign up for an account and have access to the wiki to enter data, either to add on to a page, edit a page, or create a new page. We have a chat group on Twitter. I think we're up to 29 volunteers. Some handle most of the IT. Well, Richard handles all the IT. Several of us enter data. Some other ones find studies and bring it to our attention because they don't feel comfortable editing a page. Some work as more of a consultant, giving us feedback if we're not sure if we should put something or how we should put something. Some of them are our cheerleaders when we get a little burnt out. So it's a group effort, and anybody can participate that wants to.
So this wiki is very much like a crowdsourced effort, really.
yes.
Yes.
That was the
Yes.
whole point. Was when I was thinking of putting together a wiki, is the fact that anybody can edit it. You can actually just click a link at the top, as long as the only thing you need is a valid email address, and it will send you a token to validate your email address. You click on that, and it says yes, okay. Once you've gone through that, you can then start editing the site. And we welcome and look forward to people signing up for editing and also for translating the site. We've started on trying to get the site translated into other languages. If you can go back to the main page, you can actually see other languages.
Yeah.
We've got somebody's partially done it into German.
So this is a great place for not only for information and sharing, but if you were, say, somebody who wanted to get involved in these efforts in advocacy, and maybe you're tech savvy, but you're not I don't know, hip to being on the internet, talking about these things, doing things like shows, whatever the things that we do, or tweeting or something like that. This would be a great place to kind of get involved, and you could be a part of this process, part of this Wikipedia, in sharing this information, editing, things like that.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
And we welcome people signing up just to be translators. So once they've signed up, they'll need to actually contact me or one of the other admins to get them promoted to a translator. And then from there on, the site will actually give them short passages of text to translate into their own language. So it's not like you're going to be faced with a wall of text to translate.
So where do you sign in or sign up?
where it says login, click on that
Up at the
down
top.
button,
Okay.
and
Create
then
an
create
account.
an account.
Okay. And then when
And
you
some
create an
people are
account,
intimidated because it's like,
go ahead.
I think we might have lost
I
Skip.
said some people are intimidated because they think they're like programming a website. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yep.
Am I there?
Yes.
Okay.
You might be on a delay.
It's the most unsavvy person on earth. Okay, I'll be back.
All right, Richard, do you want to finish her thought? She said some people may think it's like having to
Yeah.
do a web page, but it's not.
It's not at all like doing a web page. The site actually supports something which not many of the wikis out there do, which is the visual editor, the same as Wikipedia uses. So it's a WYSIWYG editor. So when you log in and hit edit, then if you're creating a new page, it'll give you some hints and tips to start off doing the page. You can insert photos and media and PDF files, documents, and you can actually see what it will look like in the editor. We do also support the source editor, which is a lot more flexible for those who are confident editing wiki pages. But literally, if you can edit Wikipedia, you can edit our site too, because they're exactly the same.
And does anybody make sure that the stuff that people are editing are accurate? Alex, can you go back to the main page and maybe show an entry? Like, what about? I think that was one question too. Like, how do I'm here, so I'm now part of Wiki's thing is that when somebody's on Google or something and they Google something, Wiki comes up in the results, like Wikipedia comes up in the results. Are you hoping to have that same thing when people Google something to do with vaping or nicotine, that it comes up? You guys,
yes.
Your entry comes up?
Yeah, we're registered with Google. So Google actually crawls our site. We give them a site map to make it easier for Google to crawl the site. And a lot of the hits that we get actually do come from people doing searches on Google.
What are we looking at here? Oh, we were there.
We're looking at me.
We're looking at you.
Look at that.
So this is actually what I was expecting when I first. I'm not very good with wikis.
Neither.
So when I go to the main page, I'm actually looking for something to kind of jump out at me and say, here's everything that we've got. And this was sort of.
It does.
It's,
if you go down to
in the what is this?
How to explore. It's
right in the how to explore.
Oh, okay, I gotcha. Yeah. So I'm an idiot, as we've established. And so, but here it is. Yeah, it's list of all pages. I actually found that in the text that's below that bright box that tells you how to use this thing.
So Alex, I don't think you're an idiot. I think you're just the typical man who breezes right past the instructions, right on to trying to figure it out on your own.
Usually not. I really am not. I'm very good with instructions.
Because that's me. I'm the I don't need the instructions, I'll figure it out guy. And then I always end up back at the instructions.
I mean, the other thing we've got is a really good search function. So it uses the same software and algorithms as Bing. So if you just type something into the search feature, it should actually, if we've got a page on it, it'll pop the page straight up. If you put something in there which we don't have a page on, then it'll give you a list of pages containing that word or referencing that word or some way linked to it.
Alex, can you search brainworms? Does anything come up for brainworms?
Oh, yeah, of course it will. Should do anyway.
That's fantastic.
No.
Brainworms. We got
Do I have to do it all one word?
Brainworms page.
Let's try all one word. Nope.
No,
That's
did.
okay.
That something's gone
awry.
Yeah, actually, I had a disk go down just a couple of days ago, So
I'm going to stop making suggestions before we.
the search engine index isn't actually fully rebuilt yet, so that could be why. But yeah, most vaping related terms you put into the search, you can find, it'll give you some kind of result. I'm surprised the brainworms aren't mentioned anywhere, but that might
It's honestly really not a bad thing. It was the first thing when you said think of something to search. Brainworms was the first thing that came to mind.
Why don't you put in well, do you have the latest one on the ED, the study on ED, erectile dysfunction?
Not yet.
And that's what I'm wondering is how, like, if somebody comes across, maybe somebody doesn't necessarily want to be an editor for the wiki, but they come across a study.
Yes,
like I said, I come across them all the time, but I don't necessarily have the time to go in and put an entry in and all that kind. I don't even know. Can I put in entries, or do you do the entries and then we just add to them?
You can add, if you sign up for an account.
Okay.
You can add entries yourself. You can actually create pages. What you won't be able to do to start with is post links, because we had a bit of a spam issue. So
right,
you can. We've got some suggestions. They're actually on the section where it says how to contribute.
Okay.
There's a video tutorial on how to edit the wiki.
Down the little contents box, Alex.
So if you scroll down
in the contents box right there, number 4, how to contribute. Oh, that works too. You can just go down to how to contribute.
Oh, here, how to contribute.
Yeah, right to the bottom.
Yeah, that just bounces you down to the bottom one there. Sign up for an account. Please do not email asking to use our page author's work. Okay. Yeah, that just bounces you down to the bottom.
That right's already granted. Everything is Creative Commons attribution share alike license. So when anybody inputs anything, I ought to put another page break in between how to contribute and the other notes at the bottom of the page tonight.
So I'm just curious. I'm trying to see how we can use this. So like, I bet you have something on there about the stroke. So would the best way to search for something, go to the search box and say vaping and stroke or nicotine and stroke, or just put the word stroke in there? Or
just put the word stroke in there. Should bring up everything we've got on strokes.
Just want to see how it looks when you get the, I know we did it with E-Valley, or THC Valley.
Okay. And so yeah, there you go. There's your results for.
Okay. Interesting.
Some of that was imported from people's FAQs, so some of the links might not actually be quite. Because why it took you to that link, I don't know.
Yeah. Well, like CASAA, you're
as we say it around here, grassroots
AF.
That's what we need people to sign up to edit the wiki to do, to go through. And if they see something wrong, or they go to a personal notes page and they find the bios a little bit flat, then just go and edit that. If you go back to the bottom, there should be a how to contribute. It should say tips and tricks here with a clickable link that explains a lot more.
Wait, I already clicked on it, so it's not highlighted, but there you go.
Yeah, there we go.
So there's a video tutorial how to edit the wiki, and it'll also tell you the information you need to know before editing.
I'm going to go ahead and encourage everyone to sign up for this and just go edit my bio.
I will add, sort of dovetailing on Kristen's question about, how this can be used, what kind of purpose it serves. Back in 2016, I think it was the first time I went to a tobacco company's headquarters or offices in DC. And, there were several of us meeting together, trying to, talk, what are we going to do about this thing? And one of the things that the government relations people have brought up repeatedly since then is the need for some sort of website. It doesn't necessarily have to be third party, but ideally it is third party. A website that they can direct lawmakers to when they're doing their lobbying. And in this seems like, as this grows and evolves and gets more refined, and links are of course going to the right pages, this is something that is third party generated. No, just to be clear, no tobacco company or even any of our advocacy organizations have given you any financial support to do this, right?
No, we're literally funded by our own internal donations. So each of us in the chat gives a little bit towards the registration of the domain name, the bandwidth, the actual cost of buying the server hardware, and all of that. So no, we're not. We don't take any funding from anybody at all, other than private users' donations, which
So this
we've
is
got enough money to do about 2 years worth of operations. So we're not actually in need of any donations at the moment. That may change at some point in the future, but we'd be happy to accept donations, but only from private individuals who vapors and users of the product.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this is really like grassroots capital AF. Like this is no outside funding really, other than people's personal donations to trying to make this work. I think this is fantastic. I've been a huge fan of the wiki since Richard had told me about it. I don't even remember when did you start this, because it wasn't long after you had started this that we talked about it.
It's not long ago at all. It's only coming up on 9 months.
Yeah, I was going to say early this year, I think, is when you and I first discussed this whole site.
The site went live November 25th of last year.
Okay.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Because I can just remember it was sometime either early in the year. It was definitely like winter for me when you and I had a long talk about this whole site. So yeah, definitely not old at all.
No, I mean, and it's surprising how quickly things have come on. I mean, obviously we started out with nothing in there at all, and now we've got most of the kind of topics covered. What we would like more of is if you go to our page on coils, so just type coils into the search, there's a pretty reasonable guide on making coils. It should come up in the search.
Okay, so some DIY kind of stuff here as well.
Yeah, there's a page on DIY as well. But yeah, we could do with some people to input some information like that, because we're hoping to be a resource for vapors as well as advocates. So we've got information in there on how to safely mix your own liquids. There's some safety information on batteries. All of that could do with, a little bit of adding to maybe some.
I mean, this right here alone is fantastic for people who are new to all of this. For people who are new to, using mods or rebuildables or just sub-ohm tanks, some kind of device other than a plug and play pod system, where things like battery safety and lithium-ion battery safety are very relevant. So this is a really great resource for folks like that, or if you're just interested in knowing more about how to take care of your batteries, or maybe building coils or something like that.
And is it more? I mean, this is a general tobacco harm reduction type site. It's not just focused on vaping. So you have information on things like snooze and heat not burn and stuff like that as well.
Yes. Again, we'd encourage people to sign up. If there are some snooze users out there who would like to sign up and input some information on snooze, then obviously we'd welcome that.
We
Gummies.
definitely could use some volunteers that have expertise outside of vaping, because right now the site is very heavy on information on vapor products and not on other safer nicotine products.
Do you think that's just because vaping is such a hot button topic that the studies and everything seem to be so heavily focused around vaping, or is this just kind of a lack of I guess engagement or whatever as far as getting that information up?
A lot of it is
a lot of the pages of sorry Richard. A lot of the pages of studies are pages that I've created, and that's where my research focus was on vapor products. So I don't know a lot about other products, which is why I haven't created pages for them.
I was going to say.
So we really could use snooze users and heat not burn users and nicotine pouches and.
Okay.
I mean, there's a limited amount of information on nicotine pouches, which I've got, being as I use them myself. And I will try and get that into the site as soon as I can. But yeah, it's a lack of knowledge that's holding us back there, where we could do with somebody who's familiar with snooze and, yes, heat not burn, if they wouldn't mind it, doing a brain dump into the site, even if it's only a really short. I mean, if you go to some of our pages for people, some of them are only really short and have. There you go.
I actually think the bio for me in this is pre me joining CASAA. Actually, I think if you go look, there's just mention of me being the host of my old podcast, and that's about it. Yeah.
You should sign up, Logan, and update.
I do actually have an account with this, and I'm gonna get in there, and I'm just gonna be like, I'm the guy with the beard at CASAA.
I had no idea.
Go to town. And there's many advocates that we haven't created a page for yet. So I don't want anybody to be insulted, and anybody's welcome to go in and create their own bio with their story and their experience with advocacy. Right now, a current big project we're working on, you had brought up the page of statements from organizations. We're right now building a page that's a companion page to that, which is statements from experts, which is your academics and your scientists and your lawmakers and medical professionals from around the world that have made statements, positive statements about tobacco harm reduction.
So are we going to see like a Stanton Glance page?
There is a Stanton Glance page.
Oh, thank goodness.
And actually on your statements from experts, there's actually a positive statement from Stanton Glance.
Wow. I'm sure at some
probably
point,
probably lock those so they don't get trolled.
I'm sure at some point he's made a positive statement, right?
Yes. It was in reference to, if you're going to smoke or vape, you'd be better off to vape. I mean, it wasn't a glowing endorsement, but
hey,
you got to take what you can get.
I don't think he even says that yet anymore.
Especially from Glance. Yeah.
He doesn't. I don't think he does say that. That's not his position for sure anymore. That's an old position. Yeah, I was really surprised that it has so many other things like that. I thought it was just sort of a database of studies, like just studies, like a study library. So yeah, it's kind of cool to see all this. It's sort of everything nicotine in a way. It really is.
Yep. And like Charles Gardner has taken like the statements from experts and converted those into a Google Doc, which is easy to share with anybody you want to educate about tobacco harm reduction. And when we get the statement from experts page done, will do the same thing. We have over 70 statements from organizations. We're probably going to hit over 200 statements from experts by the time we're done,
Wow.
which is cool. That's your like Ken Warner, who used to be with the Truth Initiative, or Cliff Douglas, who used to be with the American Cancer Society, Mike Pesco, Abigail Friedman, Jonathan Folds. There's a lot of people all over the world that a lot of them are scientists and have done studies and proven to themselves that, hey, this is safer than smoking. And I think it's important that we make an effort to amplify their voices, because I think it'll make it more okay for other people in public health and tobacco control to go, oh, you know, there's a lot of hesitancy in that field to come forward and say something,
Right.
because they risk being ostracized, not being able to get grants to do more work, because we're almost like a taboo type subject.
Right.
So we need to help them amplify their voices and make it okay to come forward and do and say the right thing.
So you mentioned that you can't, if you are doing an entry, we can't add links, and that just popped into my head because I was thinking about, say, you mentioned Cliff Douglas, and he.
No, initially, when you first sign up,
Oh, okay.
for a period of time until you've completed a certain number of edits,
Okay.
you won't be able to post external links.
Okay.
But what we suggest people do is pick a bio, go and do a bit of research on Google, and update a couple of people's bios or something, just so that because we moderate all the comments and any pages people create. So if there's
Right.
any spam, we can delete it straight away.
Right.
So
Yeah,
we
I
need
was
to
just
kind of-
thinking, because like you think about, say, when somebody like Cliff Douglas, who was with the American Cancer Society, which has come out a lot against vaping and nicotine in general, that, you know, does he have a bio on here?
I believe he does, yes.
Yeah, just because then, you know, to have that be searchable, that okay, up pops Cliff Douglas and all the stuff he's written about, say, that he's recently written, having links to all those articles, and he just had another one come out the other day, would really be. So I just wanted, oh, I gotta make my screen bigger because I can't see that. So
that page needs updating.
So say I logged in and I could say add to that list there where it says 2021 March 4th commentary. I could add more of his articles and commentaries to that.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. That's what we would encourage people to do to start with, to get to know how to edit pages, and also for us to be able to trust that they're not going to post.
So this initial joining and kind of editing process is kind of like you vetting users on this site,
correct,
moving forward, so that way you can enable them to post links and share stuff like that as well.
Yes.
You mentioned earlier that you guys have kind of a core group chat group somewhere where the majority of your volunteers and you kind of correspond, kind of get together. Is that vetting process part of that? Is that how you kind of get into you make your way into this the circle? You make your way into the core group here in the inner circle. Yeah.
I mean, if somebody starts editing the site really frequently and adding decent information all the time, then yes, I guess we would add them into our admin chat. For normal users, probably not. We use the admin chat for stuff that most people won't really want to or need to know. So it may be that we make another chat on Twitter for people who contribute.
Yeah, I think that would be a really cool thing too. And then because it's always beneficial, I think personally, to have that kind of think tank thing. You know, at CASAA we do a lot of stuff kind of in our own our own group where somebody will put something up, and then we typically will have like a whole conversation around
And
something
obviously,
well
one-
before Alex, I, and Kristen come onto the show. That way we can kind of get a general feel, take CASAA position on something and things like that. So I definitely think there's a lot of benefit to having that group think space
Yes.
to have
And-
stuff go
and
go
also
through.
once people have signed up and logged in, because you haven't actually showed the site with somebody logged in yet.
I don't think
um,
Alex is logged in.
Alex had to walk away for a second, so hold on a second. Let's see.
But if you,
I
if you're
don't
logged
know as though
in-
Alex wants to put all his information. He might have to pull
No,
down
no,
that
no.
share screen and then create an account or something like that as well.
I'm just going to share my screen.
And we didn't used to have all these steps. Used to be able to just sign up and go to it. But we were the victims of a vicious spam attack, which was a lot of work for Richard to fix. And so we had to add extra steps to vet people to prevent that from happening in the future.
And I don't doubt that at all. I mean, like you said, nicotine is such a hot button, almost taboo topic, and it's something I think all of us advocates are very, very aware and acquainted with. So it doesn't surprise me that somebody out there, decided to give the site a whole bunch of problems. But I think that you guys are definitely making headway with that vetting process to get people more involved and knowing that they're trustworthy. Because I think every Wikipedia or every wiki deals with that at some point, like welcome to the internet kind of thing, because there are trolls everywhere.
Okay, I brought up the page. Where did you want me to go, Richard?
Oh, if you show the site with somebody logged in, we've actually got our own internal email and
Don't
messaging
know.
system, which
Right.
obviously you don't know about when you're not logged in.
Which I don't even use because I haven't even figured it out yet. Richard's good at all that stuff. I use the Twitter chat because I
Yeah.
know Twitter.
No, that's fine. And if you don't want to use it, that's fine. But it's there, and the user page is a bit more friendly than on Wikipedia.
Logan, you
So-
said you have an account?
I do, and I'm actually heading over to the site right now.
Okay. I wanted to ask, okay, so while he's doing that, I did want to have a couple other questions. So that group, I mean, I'm in that Twitter group, and that's sort of your admin group, which means I
Yes.
should probably create an account. I joined way early because I was like, ooh, what's going on? And then I just got sidetracked with CASAA stuff, but I do, obviously, you see me in there occasionally. But my question is, who is watching the site for, I mean, because there's quite a few people in that group, and who's watching the site for, say, people just start messing with like not putting stuff up that's accurate, or
Oh, okay. When
who does
pages are
that? Is it
first,
just the two of you, or is there a group, a core group who
There's-
are sort of actual admins?
yeah, there's a group who are actual admins.
Okay.
There's a number
How
of them
many?
who haven't logged on for some time. There's about 6
Okay.
people
And so do
who.
you all kind of act as moderators for
Yeah,
what goes
Yes.
up?
when
Yes.
when you're logged in, you can go to a page called Recent Changes, and
Should I just search recent changes?
no, it's
No, it's
there's a
over in
link
the column
over
there.
Oh, okay. Here we go.
and that will give you a list of what's happened
Yeah.
recently.
Oh,
Okay.
okay.
You
That'll
select-
show you all the people that have signed up for an account, any
Ooh.
pages that have been edited. Richard and I take responsibility for
you go-
monitoring every day to see what changes have been made.
And that's where I was going with that when I was asking that earlier. I kind of want people to see this is, this, it feels like to me when I'm watching that Twitter group is that a lot is falling on Richard and Skip, and they could really use help, you guys. So if people ask all the time, what can I do to advocate? What can I do to help? I mean, this is, other than contacting your lawmakers and, telling people your story, here's another way that you can help. I mean, this is part of advocacy. And so we'd love to see I'd love to put much more time in it, but I'm already doing so much with the blog and everything with CASAA. But I actually think I probably, looking at this, I'm glad I went through this, because now I can see more of what's involved, and I think I'd be happy to sort of start helping maybe with some of the non-vaping stuff, because that's one thing that I could do. But I just think it's important to see that people understand that this wiki is not some big professional thing. There's not big tobacco money behind it, paying for paid contributors and moderators and stuff. For me, it feels like it's mainly Richard and Skip, and they could use some help. But I did also want to give you a chance to give a shout out, if you wanted to some of the people who have been helping. If you want to name names, but if you want to give a shout out to them too, I don't want the people who actually have been helping. Yeah, there you go. That's a good way to do it too. But I didn't know if they had anybody special who they wanted to maybe.
That's just people who have signed up recently.
Yeah, that's just people who signed up.
If you click on the bit where it says 50 changes, 7 days, you can actually select much longer time, like 500 changes.
We'll do 500 changes in the last month. We'll see what we get.
You'll be able to see.
Well, right now we're having a huge influx of people signing up for accounts. Most of those people aren't active at this time.
Right.
So that each person that signs up counts as a change. So we end up seeing mostly names of people, not activity.
Oh, but we get in down here, and here's some activity. This is what the actual activity would look like.
Right.
So maybe say somebody, you sign up, you become a user, and you want to get involved with this editing process. You could go here and maybe see what some people have recently been working on. And maybe there are things there that you would be able to contribute to, or like you were saying earlier, kind of just digging around as well.
There aren't any on there, but when new users create pages, they come up as unpatrolled. So until the page has been patrolled, it's not actually visible in search and various other things.
And that's part of your moderator
admin part of the
moderating.
Kind of,
right.
And between myself and Skip, we've pretty much we're on top of patrolling all the pages that need to be patrolled.
Yeah, but then you're also trying to add pages and do all that stuff too. So you could use some help. I mean, I'm looking at the group now. I see, I'm not going to do last names. I'm going to see, I see Andrew and Charles and, some people, is it Yuka or Juka? How do you pronounce that?
It's Finnish. I don't know.
J's are sometimes Y's. I'm not sure, but, and I'm so sorry that I butchered your name. Dr. Glover. Is it Glover or Glover? Glover. Judy.
Marewa Glover.
So, there's a few people. I'm not even sure how many people are in this, but Damien. So just a shout out to you guys for stuff that you guys
from Ireland.
Yeah. I don't know if they want their full names listed, so I'm not going to say them. Kim. Yeah. So this is going back pretty far here. So, but there's not a ton of people in this group, you guys. So, if you can help out at all, join, let people know if you want to get more involved.
If you can translate stuff.
Translators, yeah. We have a few people. Most of ours are English speakers because neither Alex, Logan, or I speak a foreign language, so or non-U.S. language.
4 years of French.
I took 4 years of French too, but don't ask me to remember because that was
I can tell you what my name is and hello, and that's all I retained from that.
Je suis Christian. I don't know. That's about the closest.
Je m'appelle Logan. Bonjour.
Oh, cool. We got Kathy said she's that I don't keep her busy enough apparently, and she said she'll help. Kathy's one of our moderators for our New Jersey group on Facebook. So,
and obviously, if people do sign up, then if they're a known, advocate who's been on Twitter for years, just send me an email, info@safernicotine.wiki, say what your username is and who you are, and I'll bump you straight away to being...
Fast track it? Yeah.
Yeah. Straight away to being able to edit anything you like and maybe even people I trust, I'll make admins so they can patrol pages as well and just do some of the administration tasks and
Yeah.
go in and delete spam and things like that. Although we haven't had any spam for a while.
Oh, I know. When you guys started getting hit that one time in the chat, I saw that and I was just like, oh, brother. And you were right on top of it. I don't know how you have time to do all this, you guys. Well, Skip, we know she's everywhere. I don't know how she does half the stuff she does. I get tired just watching her tweet.
I'm
Okay,
addicted
hold on.
to the internet.
Now, Mallory, when you said you're raising your hand for Richard, what is, I'm not sure if you have a question or do you,
Or is that just a
are you doing this?
Raising the roof for Richard.
Well, if she has a question, and I'm sure she'll post it, but, yeah, so, oh, wait, hold on. Oh. What is this? Rock says, I do have a big plus for Safer Wiki. Anytime we search for info with Google, it seems all the info that comes up is for anti-vaping side. Bloomberg pays for his results to be pushed. That's a very good point. Oh, Mallory says she's volunteering. Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
She's volunteering.
Oh, okay. Excellent. Thank you very much.
What was the Twitter feed again?
It's at Safer Wiki. Our
Right,
Twitter
so-
At
feed.
Safer Wiki.
Just at Safer Wiki? No, for your Twitter handle, for the Safer Wiki Twitter handle?
Yeah, Safer
Is
Wiki.
at, okay, not nicotine or anything. So I'm just putting that in the chat just so people can see.
I'm
that.
almost positive though that if you were to search Safer Nicotine on Twitter, that their page is gonna come up. So whose screen do we have up
That's
right now?
mine.
Alex?
I can get rid of it.
I was gonna say, could you pull that back up real quick?
we go.
Could you just
Yeah.
click home first?
Home on Twitter?
Yeah. Yep. And then go over to your search from there. And so say somebody just logs into Twitter and they type in Safer Nicotine.
Rob was saying his
a
point
full
is
search.
that using this site, it sidesteps Google's control over the search results. So if you're actually looking for something specific, it might be better. I think what he's saying is it might be he, she.
Yes, that's why
It'd be better to go straight to the site and search for it rather than trying to do it on Google and hoping something from Safer Wiki comes up, you know?
Right.
Yeah. I mean,
I was just
that's
going through to help people navigate. Maybe if they forget that the handle is Safer Wiki, just because it.
Oh
it
no,
doesn't-
I'm sorry. I was doing something. I was addressing something from before.
Oh,
He did that. Yeah, because he was talking about how Google always brings up the anti-vaping stuff,
yes.
and we didn't quite get his point. And so he was adding to that. So go straight to the site. Don't try to use Google because.
Oh yeah, I always tell people who are really curious in all this, like if I meet somebody or whatever, I always don't Google it. Whatever
right?
you do, don't Google what is happening right now. Head to a place like Safer Nicotine or to CASAA, because Google searching just about anything right now. If you were like, is vaping safe? And you Google that, it's just going to be a whole bunch of propaganda and garbage. You're not going to get any real information out of that.
Yeah, you get a whole bunch of websites that have or articles that have a title, "Is vaping safe?" in it, and then you go down into the article and it's always no.
Yeah, and it's like your legs are going to fall off, your arms and fingernails are going to turn into popcorn, your lungs are going to melt. It's
Because
don't go to
we've
Google.
never claimed that vaping was safe. Not 100%, because nothing is
true.
safe.
This is also true.
That's why I insisted on having our own site search, not using Google to search the site, because we actually control the search engine and the database that it runs on. So we can actually tweak the search results to come up with better results for vaping and THR.
What kind of traffic do you guys see? Has traffic grown? I would hope traffic has grown since you first started. And what is traffic like for you guys? Do you see a lot of new people visiting? Do you see a lot of concurrent users coming back to the site? And how A, can you see all of that kind of stuff? And B, how useful is all of that to you guys who are running the site and moderating the site?
I believe I sent you a
You did.
link
I was just
to
doing the producer thing where I ask you the questions to things I don't know the answers to.
Oh, okay. You can post that in the chats if you want. Anybody can go to that. It's a public website.
So if you want to, I can actually pull these stats up and share them right now
Yeah,
because
I mean,
have
I was
them.
going to say, can you share my screen and I'll pull
I
the
actually
stats
can
up.
here. Just give me just a second. We're gonna do this. We're gonna do
What I found interesting, and I haven't checked the stats in a while, is we actually had more international users than United States users.
Huh.
so
I thought that was cool.
boom, here we go. This is the actual stats that Richard sent me earlier that I had no idea about until just now. And so hits per hour is on average 574, which I think is wildly impressive for a work in progress. Well, I guess every wiki is a work in progress, but a work in progress wiki. Every hour, almost 600. And your max was 3,361 hits in an hour. 3,361 people in 1 hour were like, we're going to the Safer Nicotine Wiki. So there's literally no reason for anybody here not to be going to the Safer Nicotine Wiki.
Well, a lot of those are going to be, to fair, but a lot of those are going to be bots. But hopefully they're search bots and they're going to help the results come in
Right,
to all the
push it
search
out.
engines and stuff.
As far as I've got it, the Google bot and the Bing bots are both ignored on the hits per.
Oh, are they?
hour
Oh,
and
that's
hits per day.
awesome. Okay.
This is
I
for the
stand
most
corrected.
part.
That's great.
This is for the most part real human beings.
Yes.
Actual human beings.
Yeah. As far as it's
on
possible
average, hits per day on average, you guys are getting almost 14,000, which is wildly impressive.
Yeah.
If this is
it's actually
almost
crept
all
up.
human beings, yeah.
It's crept up since last month. We're averaging about 14 this month, so 14,000. So
hopefully
the
this
stats are actually going up.
This whole thing that we're doing here with you guys today also hopefully helps drive that number up as well, so we can get more people over onto this site. Half of this is the French that I didn't retain. That's what most of this looks like to me. So is there anything here that you would want to highlight?
Not really. The next bit would be to scroll right down to the bottom where there's a graph that shows where in the world the hits have come from, and the table just underneath which shows the countries.
So this is where I had a question for you earlier, was on the commercial and net, because these are two significant chunks here on this chart. And what does that mean as far as user
most
data?
of those will be United States.
Okay.
Because .com and .net were technically, or initially, were commercial and networks in the United States, but they're things like Microsoft.com. If somebody browsed onto our site from Microsoft.com but from the UK, it would show up as .com.
So this is kind of a mixed bag, but majority being US.
Yes.
Okay. Same with network. So the US is definitely the biggest users of this site, but I think it's really interesting to see this big orange chunk of Germany here.
Yeah, I believe they've got
Germany.
some legislative things in the works in Germany, which is probably why we're getting lots of hits from Germany recently. Just right, because people are using the information on the wiki, hopefully, to be able to show the German legislators that there is this positive information out there. And the whole idea was for it to be there for everybody to use.
Yeah, I just love that this right here is like a literal visual pie slice of German advocacy in action.
Yeah.
And I think that's pretty cool to see. And then we've got some UK stuff going on over here. I'm not sure what unresolved or unknown is. This is people visiting the wiki from the void.
Quite a few of those people will be people using VPNs.
Oh,
or
okay.
using
I see. Where they can't really verify where they're from. They're just on the interweb.
Yes.
I don't even want to try to pronounce this, but somebody can maybe help me.
It's too small for me to see.
It's too small for me to see.
Seychelles.
Oh, Seychelles.
Seychelles.
Seychelles. Okay. I don't know where that is. That's also somewhere in the void.
It's a bunch of islands somewhere called the Seychelles. That's all I can tell you.
I had no idea. I'm learning about wikis and geography today, which is pretty dope.
Russia, China,
Yay.
European Union.
So we've got some European Union, Russian Federation, China, other, which is also just seems to be kind of like the catch-all of everything that hasn't made it to a full percentage.
Yeah.
And then, as we get down in here, you can see the top 30 of 137 total countries. Obviously, the commercial, which, like you said, is majority U.S. At the top. And then also with the network, both majority U.S., but then Germany's in there. And then this kind of will get you into that other, if you wanted to see what's going on below that Seychelles stuff. This is the next 20 in line that are going to make that up.
By the way, just to answer your question, Logan, the Seychelles are off the coast of Africa or Madagascar, depending on your bias.
Oh, okay. Beautiful. Is that little pin drop?
Yep.
Oh, yeah, I would have had I would have no idea.
And a shout out to Richard, because traffic has increased so much since we first started that on his own dime, Richard bought more equipment and upgraded our system so that the site kept running smoothly and quickly for the users. So thank you, Richard.
Yes.
Thanks to you.
And
Fantastic. Thank you.
Yeah, if you go back to the web stats, it'll actually tell you how many connections we dropped that timed out, and it's very few. So
if I'm back here. Here I am.
So back to the web stats, which is that link.
Oh, you want me to go? Okay. That I don't actually know if I have pulled up anymore, but I can get to it relatively quickly.
Right. Okay.
You just got to give me copy. We're getting there, guys. I'm doing this on the fly.
So you need
Go, Logan.
So you need more help as far as people converting to languages, translating languages, and what's that?
The response code. So that tells you what. No, back up.
Oh, back up.
Yep.
Oh, okay.
There you go. So it tells you pages that were served that came up okay, ones that came up with no content, so it's an empty page or a dead page. Not modified is obviously cached locally somewhere else. Request timeout, we dropped connection on 77 users, which...
Is this just folks who haven't been to this? Okay.
It's folks who went to the site and the site actually timed out before they got the page.
I see.
Which means that the server was heavily loaded at the time.
So everyone was looking up brainworms at the same time.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. So don't everyone search brainworms at the same time. Take your time. That way we don't have a time.
Now I've got to get my account set up so I can go make a page on brainworms.
I'm going to listen, if you don't do it, Kristen, I'm going to do the brainworm page.
I don't think we even have a brainworm page on the CASAA site. I don't know.
Yeah, I think as someone who saw this pretty early on from Richard, I just want to congratulate you guys over there for how far this site has come from when I first saw it. You guys have gotten a lot more stuff put in. It's a lot more, filled out. than it was when I first saw the site, and I definitely am excited that you guys have more people in your core group there working on it.
But not enough.
But not enough. Not enough. Absolutely. I mean, just in general, we can never have enough advocates for these things. And so getting more people involved, if anybody out there, again, is looking for just a great, fairly easy, I mean, that like Richard walked us through this isn't rocket science, you guys, to get in here and start editing and start adding things, and being involved in this, this catch-all place for all of this information that we can all use when we're reaching out to policymakers or folks on Twitter or wherever we're at. This is a phenomenal resource for all that information. And so if you're looking for a great way, a super incredibly helpful way to be involved more than you already are, definitely look into getting in here and giving these guys a hand with all of this.
You can be a keyboard warrior and have that be a good thing.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because it's a good way to be a
Definitely.
keyboard warrior. Get in there and do your thing. Add to it.
Yes, and we've been working on projects. We've done some, and we will do more hand in hand with INCO. Like, they dedicated a month to educating the world that vaping is safer than smoking.
Mhm.
And so we gathered all our studies, made a Google Doc. INCO, I think it was Jeffrey. Was it you, Jeffrey? He's in the chat. Made graphics that everybody could download to tweet. We did one on THR helps people quit smoking. We focused on COP9. We've focused on special like world events like Mental Health Day, ADHD awareness, suicide awareness. Yeah, COP9 was the last big one. I don't know what January's is going to be yet, but every time they pick a project, then we work with them and focus on getting studies all in one place and a dedicated page. A lot of those are like Mythbuster type things. And it would be great to have extra volunteers help with those projects, because once we know that a certain topic's a go, we have a limited amount of time to organize that information. And I could use somebody that's better at graphics than me.
Yeah, I mean, we absolutely could do with some people with some knowledge about other THR products and somebody who can do drawings and graphics and things, because none of us are particularly good at that.
Yeah, I don't know if anybody's ever seen my logo designs, but don't hire me. I show my stuff to like Danielle, and she's like, Logan, no.
But to be fair,
Yeah,
Daniel,
for people
does
out
that
there
to
who are,
everybody, so.
Photoshop savvy and things like that, maybe you're not somebody who's great at information or sharing studies, or maybe that's not your bag, but you happen to know Photoshop really well. This is another way that you could get involved with the Safer Nicotine Wiki. So lots of ways. Don't count yourself out. If this is something you're interested in, I would highly recommend going and making a profile, a username, and getting set up here and just dive in. And I'm sure if you have questions or maybe an area that you feel most comfortable in and want to contribute, I'm sure that both Richard and Skip would love to hear from you. And maybe they can help you kind of get into the arena where you feel comfortable contributing to this.
Yeah, and like I say, people can sign up. It's relatively anonymous. You can actually not have your name put on the pages you edit, if you so desire, just simply by not putting your name in the site. The only thing you do need is a working email address. And once you're logged on, there's internal email within the site and a social media like user page where you can put information about yourself or not as you so desire. And we welcome input from everybody, really. We're not making you put your name on the pages you write or anything. simply because I know some people want to remain anonymous or don't want their name associated with the site for some reason. That's fine by us. Obviously, we'll still, in that case, if you're anonymous, your comments will have to be moderated before they appear on the site. Whereas people who are named, who we know and trust, will have their information go straight up on the page.
Okay. Yeah.
But there's no real restrictions to who can sign up. The only thing is we ask you to be greater than 13 years old.
So you got to have a verifiable email, and
Yes.
you have to have passed puberty, and you're
Yeah.
you're good.
Basically, we don't want children.
Sure.
Right.
Yeah.
I might up that to 18, but
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
Yeah,
I'm just
18.
going by the GDPR rules as they stand in the UK, that you're not allowed to track or collect information on anybody under the age of 13.
So
right.
you have to
But
be
we
at
are
least
discussing
14
nicotine
years
and
old. Yeah.
tobacco and stuff. So
Yeah.
I think it would be preferable to have fully fledged. I mean, not that all of us are fully fledged adults here. At least I'm most certainly not most days, but definitely to have adults in here. But yeah. So do we have any more questions from chat about any of this? Is anybody out there in chat right now curious about anything specifically, or did we do a pretty good job covering the Safer Nicotine Wiki? And also, Richard and Skip, do you have anything else that you'd like to put out there and highlight right now for everyone out there watching and listening?
I mean, not really, other than make use of the site. That's what it's there for. It's there as a resource to all of the people in vaping advocacy, THR advocacy, and like I say, you should be able to reasonably easily send links to people using the share button on the page. So hopefully it should be a really good way if you want to email some information to your politicians or to a local group or ADHD society or anyone like that.
Okay, so we have a question from Breeze Tones in chat, and it says, "Are opinion-based admissions allowed?"
Yes.
Yes.
We have. Oh, sorry, Richard. I
Sorry,
probably have
carry
a
on,
delay
Skip.
again. We have some pages that are just studies, but we also have pages where we collect like published op-eds and newspaper articles and videos. Um, so there are things on there that are opinion, not fact. Most of the time, they're either separated on different pages, or if they're on the same page, they're identified that they're a study or an op-ed so that people know.
So this is something
We're also
I think, to clarify, Breeze Tones, not necessarily like user opinion admissions allowed, but something that has been published, something that is out there like an op-ed would be allowed. So like if I, just a user, hopped in and was like, nicotine makes your fingernails purple, that opinion, something like that wouldn't be allowed.
You could put it there, but I wouldn't guarantee it'd stay there.
Yeah. I mean, people can write exactly whatever they want.
And that's the whole point of this moderator group.
Yes.
We have some pages. We've got a category of user experiences, which people would be quite welcome to put their personal experiences under that category, and those are obviously opinions.
Right.
So, yeah, we're not against the idea, but it would have to be clearly stated that it's your opinion, not a demonstrable fact. Because obviously,
unless it's something that you could actually back up with some information, then I guess it wouldn't be much of an opinion.
No. But demonstrable facts, you need to provide a link to the paper or something like that, so that we know where the information came from. And like on a lot of our pages, we've got fair use excerpts from the papers with a link to the full paper to read more, but we pick out the salient points as far as it goes for vaping so that people can easily find information using our search function.
Perfect. Awesome. So that answered Breestone's question perfectly. I think everybody out there tuning in, this is I think where we're going to wrap up this week's CASAA Live. So thank you, first and foremost, thank you, Richard and Skip, for being here. Skip, you had a few little network issues along the way, but you came back and you powered through wonderfully. So thank you.
I'm back like your worst nightmare.
Oh, like a dream,
I-
Skip. Like a dream, not a nightmare.
I want everybody to remember that every day in this world, thousands of people die from smoking. And misinformation is killing opportunities for tobacco harm reduction. And the more minds and fingers and bodies that we can put together to gather the truth, the more ammunition we have when somebody tells you we don't know enough. Oh, yes, we do. We know these products are safer. So the more of us that work together to put all this information in one repository, the more lives we can save. And that's why this project is important.
Hear, hear.
That's my soapbox for the day.
We can't hear you, Logan.
Logan,
Thank you
you're
for
muted.
having us.
Still
Logan,
can't
you're
hear you,
muted.
Logan.
Oh, okay. Sorry. I muted myself just so I wasn't like talking over Skip or anything, because I loved that. So yes, thank you guys again for being here and coming on CASAA with us and talking about this project. I think this project is incredibly important. It's super useful to everybody, not only to advocates, to people who are just getting started in their quit journeys or learning about nicotine, learning about safer nicotine products. It's important for policymakers alike. So I think this is a fantastic resource for everybody. I definitely want to encourage people to get involved. And like we discussed here today, there's a lot of different ways that you can be involved in this project. So if you're looking to involve yourself in something more than just sending out a couple of tweets, this would be a great place to go. And then from there, I just wanted to thank everybody here who tuned in today. Thank you guys. We see you. Awesome. You guys are fantastic. And so that's where we're going to wrap this up. I do want to mention there's going to be 2 podcasts available. There's always 2 podcasts available, but this was a very visual stream today. We highlighted a lot of stuff visually on the site. So if you're going to tune in and listen to the podcast, which I'm sorry that I'm saying this at the very end of this show, because if you are listening to the podcast, you just went through all the frustration of having to listen to us discuss visual things. But yeah, tune into the actual live, the replay, which is available on Facebook, on YouTube, and on Twitter, and all the links will be available below. So if you make it to this point and you haven't lost your mind yet, and you want to see what exactly we've all discussed today, head over to one of those 3 and check out the replay for this. Otherwise, like always, there'll be a legislative shorthand rundown version for everybody on the podcast. And if you have not yet joined CASAA, please join CASAA. Go join Safer Nicotine Wiki, become a user there, and then also come over to CASAA.org and sign up, become a member. It's absolutely free. There's literally a mountain of ways to get involved on this stream, you guys. We've laid out a whole literal mountain of ways to get involved in all of these efforts. So please do that. Shout out to Danielle for all of the updated, amazing, cool merch that is on CASAA right now. So check out the merch page. All those links will be available down below on Facebook and on YouTube and on the podcast. All the links to all the merch, where you can contribute to CASAA, how you can join CASAA, all that stuff will be right there and available to you guys. I think that's it. I think I covered all the bases. I think we've got it. So one last time, thank you everybody out there on the interwebs. We will be back next week to take a deeper dive into policies like what's going on in New Zealand right now. So tune in next week, 4:30 p.m. Eastern, 1:30 p.m. over on that other coast, the other coast. And that's it. That's it for us. So we are out of here. Thank you guys one last time. We will catch you guys next time.
I'm going to say goodbye.
Bye.